Hey all, Napkin here. Welcome to Anime in a Day, the show where I watch an entire anime in, I forgot, was it in the title? Alright, crappy joke aside, three things to address. I'm watching Serial Experiments Lain, whatever, anti-conducive environment here. I'm currently in my dorm. It is very loud. It's raining. The masjid was doing a bunch of noise because they're basically just noise machines. Serial Experiments Lain itself, uh, very complicated anime that has a lot of themes, meta narratives, and it's just gonna be complicated and a big mess. I've been waiting for this one because I figured that'd be the most interesting thing to talk about and watch and hear my reactions to it. So I figured I need to create my environment around it as if I was being consumed by the wire itself. Here's my anime crib. I There's a space under my desk. Right, I removed the blanket. Here's a tour of what my space looks like. That's under my desk right there. It's exactly that big. Okay. It's not very big. There's my stacker, there's a bunch of electronics, that's my light, and here's my laptop. There you go, it turns on. That's it, that's my green screen, I guess. I put my pillows here, and that already takes most of the space, and I put my blanket over it. That's the entire thing. Okay, I thought some of you were curious because I didn't show it earlier. That's it. You guys know what time it is. It's present day. Present time. Ha 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 ha. Usually, the first episode is the one where I have the most thoughts about it, so we'll see what I'm getting myself into. Okay, currently around 4 minutes in, and I'm just noticing a couple things. First of all that happened right now is that a girl with glasses got bullied, and then she fell off a rooftop. That's what happened narratively, the way that it presented it. There's some text on the screen that said, like, why you should do it. You should figure out yourself. And there was the weird background for that thing. It was all in Japanese text, too, obviously. There's these red blood speckles. That's kind of what it looks like. It's on top of a black background, I mean. And another thing is that, I don't know, I suppose it's Lane's motif right now, is all these lines in the air, these telephone lines. That's pretty cool. It shows that like a lot in the first 4 minutes. Currently, suicide just happened, so I'm gonna assume it follows up on that. Alright, I think that's all that I wanted to say, besides the other cool things that it said weird, layer 1, and this cool voice, and I want to hear it again. So I'm looking forward to that. Oh my god. I am fresh off the heels off of Subihibi, all about a girl who sends a bunch of mail right before she dies. And the exact same thing is happening in Serial Experiments Lain. I know this one, Serial Experiments Lain, came first before Subihibi, but the fact such similar things happen is just, it's bogging my mind. I suppose the point of this scene is that through the use of internet, emails and such, that shows the power of it. That's all I can say right now, because a girl was crying because she got an email from this suicide that a girl was in. I know the main emotional crux of it was that she committed suicide, but it was conveyed through the use of email. Alright, I'm only, like 8 minutes in or something. I'll have to watch more to have more thoughts about it. Some weird shit happens right after that scene. White blobs start coming out of her hand, and it
spreads all over the classroom. Um, I can only assume what this means because I barely have any information. Like, she's connected to the internet through these strands of white stuff. That's all I can think of. Right after this, it shows like a telephone pole and the lines coming out of it. And like, I don't know, the internet itself is created out of a bunch of lines connecting each other to each other. That's all I can think of. I should probably get some weed. I should vibe right now to really think about everything here. Luckily, it's a Saturday, so I don't have much to worry about. Uh, what's the other thing? I mean, the text that says right after this is like, "What is it like to die or something?" And the answer was, "It hurts." That was the text that was shown on screen. So maybe those texts, wait, yeah, like these kinds of scenes that have really wacky backgrounds and text on top of it. Um, Maybe these are like comments that people leave that are related to the show. I don't know. I think I'm making theories way too early on. I should talk more about it after the episode ends. Normally, I don't want to interrupt often because, unless I have a thought, I should record something, but I'll keep this as a log of what's happening in the show right now. So, Lane just got an email, or just read the email from her friend Yomoda Chisa, and it seems like she is writing what her relationship is to all her classmates before she committed suicide. Lane walked with her once home and basically says, well, God is where she is, which makes sense because she's dead. Uh, Lane doesn't understand what's happening just yet, and neither does the audience, so that's good. We're on the same level. I was wondering when there's this divide between the understanding of the internet and computers and stuff, um, between the main character and the audience, and I think we'll see some sort of breaking point later on because currently Lane does not understand much about computers at all. Speaking of computers in this world, they look so freaking wacky. I did not expect that. They're like red, big red modules with screens on them. I love the aesthetics of like the text that's shown on screen. It looks very internety and blue and unclear. When you like zoom in on a screen, there's like pixels showing, and that's what it looks like here too. I love that detail. All right, I gotta watch more. Okay, more weird shenanigans. Currently I'm in a scene where Lane is just um teleporting all over the place, and I'll get into that a bit later because I want to clear my mind. And I think the genesis of what is really happening in the real world before getting into illusions too much and these weird dream sequences that definitely couldn't happen in reality. Um, she went to, well, first of all, it showed the relationship between her and her family. The bigger sister was like, I don't want to eat anymore, so she leaves early, and then she's stuck with her mother. And even though Lane just said, hey, I got an email from a girl who just killed herself last week, the mom was just like, yeah, whatever. And they're all quiet and distant to each other, so that's the relationship she has with her family. She walks into her father's room. She asks for a new Navi, which sounds very similar to my name. Uh, that's all I'm gonna say. She wants to get a new system from her father, and his idea. Wait, her father's idea of the internet, or the wired, as they say in this anime, that even in the real world, or really on the internet, how societies work is people working together. And I think that's or like communication between each other. And I think that's like a really good thing to keep in mind, because that just seems like an important idea. And also how their mother does not understand that. When she asks why she needs a new Navi, she says she wants to find a friend, and the father just laughs at that, and I find that bizarre. I don't know what that means. Maybe it's because on the internet, you're not really communicating with that person. And because of this nuance that she doesn't understand of what the Navi is, he is laughing at that. I don't know yet. I don't know what, because I thought his her father genuinely thought the internet was for communication. So she would be communicating more with her friend. Or maybe he knows that she committed suicide, so she wouldn't actually be able to see her anymore on the internet. My brain is hurting. Okay. Uh, After this, though, she goes on the train, and the train crashes, and she looks at the telephone line, and it's dripping black liquid, and she gets teleported to a bunch of places. The scene hasn't really ended yet, so I don't know what to comment on it. Okay, I'm loving this splattered art style here. Hell yeah. Okay, so the end of the last scene, I might as well recap what's happening because I need to be incredibly thorough with this anime. Because if I don't, I feel like I'd be missing things. Um, uh, well, shit. Okay, let's recap. After the last scene, she eventually gets teleported to, I don't know, her way home from school, that street, the street that she's on right now. White clouds start appearing, um, and those are the same white clouds that emerged from her fingers earlier. And it transforms the place to a train track, and I assume the girl that killed herself appears in front of her. So maybe that's how Lane thought of how the suicide went down, even though what happened was that she jumped off a building. So I don't know, man. After this, it is shown that she was just sleeping in class, and that's what that dream sequence was. She looked at the whiteboard, and I'm just gonna say she's squinting her eyes, even though she's in front of the class. She needs some glasses, bro. But she starts hallucinating that she needs to come to the wired as soon as she can. And she's walking home from school. The girl that just died, like, she seems to have a lot of grief about it, or like keeps imagining about her suicide. And that's fair because, you know, someone just killed herself, even though they don't seem to have a very close relationship, however, because they only walked home to school once. She like appears next to her as like a ghost and suddenly appears and then suddenly disappears. Like there's no fade in or fade out. She just pops into existence and then pops out. It's kind of an interesting way to present or show it. Yeah, that's really all that happened. She just noticed that that happened. Ooh, time to see what happens till the end of this episode at least, because gosh, it's already like 15 or so minutes. Uh, and I was just on the first episode. Alright, that's the end of the first episode. Turns out I commented on it last time right before it ended. I watched the ending too, and I would have shown you it if it didn't have a naked sleeping Lane in fetal position. So that's that. Alright. She disappeared in a really cool way. First, she turned silver, and then from intersected lines between her body, she started disappearing through those. That's the best way I can explain it. That's just a super internet way of dealing with how she would disappear, I suppose. It's such an interesting detail. Like she could have just disappeared in any other form, I guess. I forgot what she said, but I don't know. I guess she's just nudging her on to get into the Wired. As a recap, I mean, I know I'm recapping often, but I really need to, get my head through this. What happened is that Lane has a friend who died, committed suicide, sent mail and stuff, and she wants Lane to go onto the internet to find her or something. And yeah, she's basically being nudged to get into the Wired by her friend to meet her or something. That's yeah, that's pretty much all that's happening. I'll watch the first two. I've watched the first two episodes. Sorry, three, and then I'll take a break. I got some. I'll show you my boxes of pizza later that I have not eaten in 2 days. I've not finished in 2 days. After a few, maybe a week or 5 days, it gets moldy, so I'm gonna have to eat them quick and stuff. Or make an actually, or may actually make tea or something. I don't know why I'm recording this. Okay, currently, right after the opening for the second episode, I feel like I have a sense for what the dialogue is at the start of every of these scenes, where it shows a bunch of shots of the city. And the why it's showing such random shots is because I'm interpreting it as the soul of the dead girl. And she is saying these scenes to lure people in. Because on the first episode, it was like, um, shit, why won't you come here? And here is the Wired. And the second episode is, what are you scared of? Just come here or something. Yeah, that's currently my interpretation of what the first few shots of the city scene are. Okay, I'm really only saying this to recap because I don't have anything to say about it. Some guy is at a club called Siberia. I hope you cannot hear my stomach rumbling just then. He buys a drug for 10,000 yen. Usually it's 4,000 yen. He just eats it, and it makes him feel accelerated because it's called Excella. It's not really a drug. That's what the comment says. Which is like, now I'm thinking it's just the character's thoughts, which is probably a better way to think about him. But he sees Lane, at least I think, because she has the exact same X thing in her hair, in a club. That's all to say about that. Maybe it's on the internet and they're on some online hangout, and that's what the Siberia Club is. Maybe. I don't know. Okay, stuff is currently happening, but I'm just gonna say I'm actually kind of liking Lane's character because she's just a really moody middle schooler. It's like Precure, but gone very wrong. And also, pretty much the only point of relation between the both of them is that they're both in middle school. And that's a fun way to think about it. It's Cure internet or something, I don't know. She just looked at a weird man who was staring at him behind a telephone pole. Okay. You got the bully girls over here talking to Lanes. I do actually have something to say here, but they're basically, last night, a girl that looked like Lane was at the club, Siberia, and she was being a complete bitch. So, but Lane obviously was not that person. And they're commenting on, like, I bet when she goes to a club, her personality does a 180. And I remember being the quiet kid in my classroom. And one of a popular girl clique, she was like, I remember having a dream once. It had me, Nappy, Nap Kitten, and she was like, oh, you were like a really fun, sociable person in my dream. And that was the whole point. Maybe it's just fun imagining the quiet person in your classroom, or just quiet people in general, have like a complete change of personality to be more fun and extroverted. I don't know. I just find it weird that these popular girls keep fucking talking about them. Damn it. Enough. I want this girl to step on me. I sure watched Heathers. Haven't really stopped to talk about anything in a while, and by a while, I mean like 7 minutes or something. But I'm just gonna recap until now. It explains what the Excella drug is, and I do want to comment on that actually. It's a drug that makes you experience things 2 to 12 times faster, and it ends after 24 days. So basically, on the harder end, I guess, you'd be experiencing 1 day in 12 days, which seems like hell. Um, if not at least 48 hours. What's weird to me is that, sure, your brain works that fast, but your body moves at the same amount of time, right? It's only your brain. So when you want to move around, you want to move your leg, it takes like 12 times longer than it usually should in your mind. Yep, that's a weird thought. After that, Lane gets a message from her friends like, hey, go to Siberia or whatever. She's like, nah, I'd rather not. And her thought was, everyone is connected. And that's an interesting thought because everyone talks to each other. I suppose that's what that means. I hope I'm making sense. I hope I'm making more sense than the actual show. Because I believe I also have a sort of new type kind of mind because Serial Experiments Lain is a new type kind of show. Uh, I think I'm interpreting things in a way that makes sense, I hope. Okay, after that, she gets more grief from the friend that just died. Ghosts start appearing, and she herself, the girl who died, she said, appears too, and she's haunting her. And then she gets a top of the line Navi, which the delivery man, this loser delivery man, is just like, oh, I wish I had that thing you had. I'm just a loser. And I'm just like, haha, what a loser. He doesn't really deserve that much hate or that much attention at all, but I just wanted to call him that because I'm a mean. I mean, what kind of delivery man would be like, oh, you bought a humidifier? I wish I had a fucking humidifier. Shut up. Okay, because she did not accept that invitation earlier, I assume now that she has this new Navi, she wants to try it out, and she'll go to that Siberia party. Oh, wait, it's not online. I forgot. It's just my theory that it was an online hangout. But no, it's a real place. That. Okay. Alright, I'll have to see what happens then. Dude, just listening to Lane say this line right in front of me in her like quiet middle school girl voice is making me it hits different, and only for specifically me because this is literally, well, not literally my name, but it's so close enough that it tricks me, okay? Oh, enough. Next. Okay, currently at the ending. Something very interesting happened. I'm also trying not to show any of Lane at the middle of the screen right now. Just look at this cool tech that's on the side of her that's surrounding her. Ain't that cool looking? She went to the club. I think one of the guys was on Axella, but that's not. I mean, my theory is that that was the same guy as the last person in the club who had that drug, and she just. Shh. But this time, that guy went on a rampage or something and shot people. and he mistakes Lane as the girl that looked like, um, well, her the last time they were at the club. And she is the scattered god or something who wants the wire to interfere with the real world. So that's what we know of that girl, I suppose. I assume Lane would eventually take advantage of the fact that she looks exactly like this girl to become the god of the internet. But I'll see how that ends up happening, I guess. One incredibly mysterious thing she says, and we've never seen. I mean, I assume Lane was just there because she was frozen in fear and did not move, but maybe she was interested in what the guy thinks of her or something. In the end, she walks up and says, no matter where you are, everyone is connected, which is a weird thing to say, and I don't understand what that means just yet. I mean, I know she kind of gets that info from her father, and I don't know. Another thing that's weird is that she wanted the computer to be built instantly by him instead of waiting for dinner to happen. And the father's like, hell yeah, I'll do that. But then she just goes to the club anyways. So I don't know if it was that important. Like, I think she just wanted to know if she had mail or not. Um, Also, the father has an incredibly rude daughter. Honestly, both of them. Lane's kind of an asshole too. Mika's obviously bad. The mother's also a dick. Poor father is what I'm saying. Alright, third episode coming up. Okay, I'm getting a bit sleepy, and I'm currently halfway through episode 3. Not because it's boring, but because I woke up at like 4 a.m. and I slept for, 4 or 5 hours, which is still a lot, I guess, but I'll probably go to sleep a bit after this and actually eat breakfast because my stomach's rumbling. Anyways, episode 3, and I'm halfway through. I don't have many thoughts on it, except for really just one. They dealt with the aftermath of her being somewhat involved in the shooting at the club. She said some weird things, but that wasn't questioned at the police station, apparently. What's cute is that her friend came up to her and she's like, I'm sorry, Lane, and we'll talk again tomorrow. I thought that was cute. Maybe they have a relationship going on, a platonic one, even. Um, and I think she kept saying her name like Arisu, but I don't know why. It's just kind of weird, and I said, like, are you okay? Oh, whatever. After this, she just went home. She wasn't even, like, invited into her own home. She had to use a key. The parents don't really care what happened to her, I guess, even though she's at a club where a shooting happened. That morning, she did ask her mother, and she's like, what? Hey, about last night. And she replied, what about last night? Who cares? Who cares a shooting happened? Um, Between then, she just walked around the house at night, checking on something outside the window and checking in people's rooms and on her Navi. And she slept while using it, I think. And then she just slept on the bed. One thing that I have to question, though, is she keeps checking for messages on her Navi for some reason, and I thought that she's just trying to get messages from the dead girl. That was the suicide from episode 1. And now I'm thinking, like, pretty much in episode 3, it's kind of forgotten about. So why is she still checking for messages? I mean, of course it's still related, and I assume it's a very big reason for why she would eventually be involved with the Wired. But I don't know, I guess she's still checking for those damn mails. Right now, though, there's a big black van outside of her house, and last time there was a government guy that was staring at her. I'm thinking that's because they're just keeping tabs on this girl who they think Lane is. And Lane, the god of the Wired, that's who that is. Even though she isn't god of the Wired, at least not yet. She's just a normal girl, so the government is wasting their resources. Okay, time to watch the rest. Okay, I'm not remembering the order of events that incredibly well, but I think she gets onto the train. And one interesting aspect is that her name kept being said, like Lane, 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 but very quietly. So that made me think someone was trying to wake her up and she was in a dream sequence that happened. I probably not, but that's just a theory, a game theory. Okay. Um, the voice comes back again, but it says, but it explains what a psyche is. And I think that's like a part of the computer system. I'll have to rewind to that part to know what it meant. Um, and it's just an important part of a Navi, maybe. I don't know. Before that, when I said the girl that committed suicide was forgotten about, I think I said that because none of the girls around her talk about her. But Lane still remembers because she's still stricken with grief, and the girl sometimes just appears in her head to talk about stuff. I also forgot what she was actually talking about. I'll rewind again. Um, but the point is, Lane still really remembers. It's just she is still checking those messages. After that, she does get a message. She does get a letter through her shoe locker, and the girls around her were curious about what it was. And even Arisu was like, "Hey, someone died right in front of us. Are we just gonna forget that even happened?" So yeah, I guess I was right about the suicide. They forgot about that suicide thing. Um, and she gets something weird. It's like a weird box that's black and small and it has a thing on it. And of course, the girls expected it was a love letter, but are disappointed to find out it's just that weird thing. Now, I did not understand what that thing was until Lane here, oh fudge, staring dead ass into the screen and says one word, psyche, as it zooms out and stays on this shot for a while. I'm pausing it, obviously. But yeah, so now I know that that black box is probably what a psyche is, and I'm gonna have to watch more to find out. And right after I rewind to remember what that dialogue was, I'll comment if there was anything interesting about it. Actually, I forgot to mention this girl looks kind of like Choo Choo or something from Witch of Mercury, which is a Gundam show that's airing right now. And she's famous for absolutely decking on some bully girls that were bullying the main character, Suletta. Uh, which is funny because this girl is one of the bullies. So, yeah. And by decking, I mean punching. Okay, that's it. Oh my god, I forgot she's going on the downward spiral, downward spiral, downward spiral. Okay, yeah, no, this is pretty interesting. There's the screen. So, the Psyche processor dramatically increases the performance of a Navi, and then um the dialogue right after that is the dead girl who says, "In the real world, it didn't matter if I was there or not, and my physical body, like, I don't have a use for my physical body anymore." So that's interesting. I assume the fact that she gained a psyche now means that she is also able to travel to the wired or something. Alright, cool. Okay, so there's this kind of messed up, messed scene, I guess, where she's just in the wired or like using the computer, maybe, but weird voices are coming out of it. Maybe she just doesn't know how to use it. I have no idea. She finally gets a new mail, however, but her father interrupts. And she asks, "Hey, what is this thing?" And he was like, "I don't know what it is," and mysteriously just walks out. Now, if that thing was a bad thing, which I'm suspecting is a psyche, he would have confiscated it, but he didn't. He's just, you can keep it, but I just don't know what it is. um, which is weird, a weird father policy, but sure, whatever, I guess. He like really did not want to talk about it, so I just assumed he knew what it was, but he did not want to tell her what it was and let her keep it. So all of that is kind of mysterious. Um, she goes to the club after this. Uh, she meets some friends. Uh, Not really friends, but she just met them before. On the stairway to the Siberia the last time she was there, and she asks them, "Hey, what is this thing?" And they finally say, "Oh, that's a psyche. You connect it to the computer." Yes. So that's cool. We finally know what that's all about. And I suspect that it was a psyche because she said as much by just kind of saying it to the audience pretty much, because it was like dead ass staring at the camera as she said psyche. So I just assumed that's what it was, which is a weird way to communicate to the audience that's what that item was. Um, but sure, she finally goes and asking around and she knows what it is. Now, a very interesting detail that the kid said was people who act, people who go to the Wired and travel and like be in real life, they have different personalities, and that's such an interesting detail, and that's so realistic to how it's like in real life. So now I'm actually thinking this anime is pretty prophetic in that way, and at least that's not, and at least it takes itself seriously. And I say that because one another piece of media that also predicted internet culture was iCarly. So thank God I'm watching Serial Experiments Lain instead of that. I watched an 8-hour video instead about iCarly. Anyways, yeah, I guess that's it. Uh, oh yeah, the kid asked, "Hey, information isn't free. You're gonna have to pay me for me telling you how to install your psyche." And he was like, "Go on a date with me, but I want to go on the wild lane because that's the person that I want to meet. And because I saw you once in The Wired and you have vastly different personalities, so I want to go with the wired personality and I want to go on a date with that person." And she just coldly stares at him, which intimidated him, and he was like, "Okay, never mind." And then they go. So she got it for free. Cool. Currently, it's on episode 36. No, it's episode 36. Minute 36 on my phone right now, and I'm only a third. No, I'm only a fourth of the way. So this video is gonna be like 2 hours long if it goes at this pace. I'm gonna intersperse it a bit less often and have more thoughts on one screen. I don't know what I'm saying. I want this video to be shorter. Alright. I would say fourth. I want the third episode to end first, and then I'll go do stuff. I'm getting kind of horny on the side here, but Mika looking kind of fine. Also, I'm really warming up to these character designs. She's looking cute with her screwdriver in her mouth. All right, but I do have stuff to say. Basically, she's fixing the pulse psyche on her computer. Mika's asking what she's doing, and mysteriously, she like says "Welcome home, sis," but only to Mika. Like she's not actually saying that. She's still being moody, but
Mika is looking at her as if she has a happy-go-lucky personality kind of thing. And it looks pixelated, I guess. So it seems like the Wired is already interfering with reality in some sense. Well, we'll have to see more in episode 4, but I'm gonna take a quick break, which includes actually getting the healthy amount of sleep and actually eating. And this anime is taking a toll on my life here. And you don't seem to understand. I'm in my lair again, and I took my break. That was 8 a.m. I slept, and currently it's 10:40 a.m. So that entire watch sesh from episode 1 to 3 was a dream, and I don't remember any of it. It was all a hallucination. I hope I don't look weird because I don't know what my front camera or back camera looks like, but I'm hoping it looks a bit normal. I mean, I'm gonna continue on until episode 6, and then I'll have lunch or something. Or probably not. Let me tell you, I'm gonna have a really bad stomach ache because I'm sitting in a crouched position, basically sleeping again after like eating. And I ate musty, old, rotten pizza that's like 2-3 days old. I'm going to die in this chamber that I've made for myself. Alright, see you after I watched a bit of episode 4. I also didn't bother even putting on the blanket this time around because it's not that noisy, and second, it's a big hassle. That morning it was pretty loud, and even right now, I think my dorm mate, which is right next to me, noises can be heard going through the window walls. It sucks. Hopefully that doesn't pick up, but alright, I'm gonna continue watching, so yeah. I'm hoping these shots of the show don't get copyrighted or whatever. I should probably check what studio made it and if they're still active. But that's for later. So currently I'm almost halfway through, probably three-fourths of halfway through the show, this episode, I mean. Episode 4. I don't know what the hell I'm going on about, but I've promised myself to at least make reports every halfway through an episode because I need to jog my mind and remember everything that happened up until that point to see if they are related to everything else. So at first, well, the first thing that I remember was that she was just building her thing, which became the mess that it is right now, and her father's just like, okay, she's being weird. Well, Mika brings it up, but the father admits it. And then she goes to her friends, and she's like visibly happier that she is working on something, and that's, good for her. Working on something that you are passionate in can actually improve your mood to other people. That's what I believe. And another thing that we learned is that more and more people are committing suicide and playing the Wired game. And we already know the reason as to why they're doing that, because they don't feel like having a physical body anymore and just be connected in the Wired. That's what that means. And just one more thing. There was like a weird slasher chase scene with some old guy running and a little girl with a dog doll was chasing him. And then the second she said gotcha. I don't know what that means at all. But we see the one of Lane's friends give the girl back her doll. I Yeah, I have no idea, no clue what that even means, what that's about, or why it even happened. You know what? Since I'm here, I want to ask, what is the point of the Excella drug? I'm pretty sure. I mean, I'm sure it's gonna come back at some point, and I'll find out my answer. But right now, I don't know what the purpose of having this new Excella drug exists like at all. I'll see later on.
I'm just gonna say though, she said she was just adjusting the machine because she wanted to put some psyche in it. Now, like, it just became a giant server with multiple monitors and an external fan blowing on it with wires everywhere. That's not modifying the machine. You clearly ordered a billion more parts. What the heck? Okay. I hope you can't hear that. Someone's getting a tantrum, or more likely, someone's doing construction work. I don't know. I hope it does not come back. No more dilly-dallying. Let's see what continues on. Okay, I'm right before when the episode ends. 5 minutes, give or take, and there's a. So, oh fuck. I get the feeling this does not focus on me at all. Okay, close enough. So there was a new victim in the whole Serial Experiments Lain world or whatever. They're all. I assume the old guy at the beginning played some game, Phantoma, that was revealed, and then there's a new victim being chased around by the same little girl, probably. And I'm just gonna say what it means instead of recap all of it because he was just running away and he's on a rooftop. He kills the little girl by wrapping her in a blanket, and because he played that game, he caused to do that act of violence. So I'm just gonna assume this is a doom situation where playing a game online causes you to do bad things and cause violence, and that's a genuine effect of playing net games online from the internet. I mean, it's not necessarily internet related, but it is a net game. It's more game related. I'm still gonna count it because this game is also related as given by exposition from Lane's new friend. By the way, that guy she met in the club, he thinks that Lane, the middle schooler, is the very rash and brash god of the wired person. So he just talks to Lane and gives her a lot of information about how to use the psych processor, and now is telling her about Phantoma, which is the new game. And the weird thing about that game is that it connects the programs together for the people that play it. Uh, and I don't know what that necessarily means. I just assume that it's meant to be a single player game, but it turns out to be a multiplayer online game. Or connect means something way deeper and magical that I don't understand yet. After that, though, uh, there's this cult called the Knights or something, just some internet group, and they suspect that the Knights are the people who caused this loophole that causes the programs to connect to each other. I'll have to see what that's on about. Barely any information on the Knights yet on episode 4. The father comes in and he's like, the wired is just meant for communication and transfer of information. Don't confuse it with the real world. And Lane is like, haha, fuck you. No. And then the dad's just like, you sure about that? And then she modified the Navi to translate herself into the wired world. And she's a genius because she read a few books. Cool enough, I guess. The father also did not mitigate or like stop her in any way. So I guess he's just okay with everything that she's saying. I mean, not the first time he's been like bossed around by his daughters, I guess. he's just nice to them. That's great. I don't know what else to say. I'm gonna see what happens until the end of the episode. At the end of episode 4, while the opening is playing, it's making less sense, and now I have more questions that I don't. Really, the main one is just okay. First of all, why do the government guys follow her? Is it just because she looks like Lane? Second, why do they wear those weird eye thingies? Like they're just big dead giveaways. She was able to figure out that she was being followed by them because a giant laser comes out of their foreheads and shone in her room. So, I mean, don't wear that, idiot. Just sounds like a health hazard for other people that want to communicate to you. Um, and lastly, and definitely most importantly, I guess it'll have to wait. How was Lane able to break that guy's visor? She just said, go away, and then the window broke, kind of? And it, and his thing broke too. I don't understand. Is this reality? Is some of her friends hacker friends that could just hack into his visor like that? This is I'm not gonna lose to the witch's illusions. Ah! Alright, I'm on episode 5. Ooh. Dude, when Lane looks at the screen and answers the narrator, I was just like, what the fuck? Really broke the fourth wall there. I was kind of surprised, off guard at that. And she's just walking in the middle of the street, so I don't know. This is just kind of a random time to do that, I guess. I don't think this actually happens, because a lot of things that happen are, I don't know, an illusion maybe. It's hard to tell what's fiction, what's reality, but I've probably just been watching too much, playing too much Umineko, reading too much of the manga. Anyways, it's kind of interesting that let me get my glasses. It's kind of interesting that the narrator or who proclaims himself to be God is bringing up humanity and like evolution, and then comparing it to their inventions or um, The Wired, because I mean, we don't really need to evolve as human beings. We already have a bunch of tools that let us adapt to our situation. Like, if we become too fat, I don't know, we make wheelchairs that help us move or something. So, and we make those tools faster than we can evolve. You know what I'm saying? So we don't have a reason to evolve, I suppose, as a human race. You're fine right now. And he's okay. God here is being real cynical, saying mankind has like regressed or something. And the way they escape through that, or the tool that they might use, is the wired. And those are vague concepts, and I'll have to be a bit more specific after rewatching it a bit. But after that, it follows Mika for a bit, and I just want to call these parts Mika's misadventures because I really like alliteration. And I find her hot. There you go. I'm a bit too horny on Main, especially since the character designer, and I know he made Habanai Renmei and there's some other animes, but that's pretty much the only other one that I watched that was of his. And he doesn't really make, generic anime designs. He just makes really, not really realistic either. They have an incredibly specific style that does not, it's not meant to be anime or cute like. That's what I mean. But I do find them kinda cute, kinda good looking as human beings. and I definitely should not be saying this during No Nut November. Alright, the scene after that, besides Mika just going around, I don't know, there was this scene where she imagined a car going through some people and she just walks it off. She also like does this to her hair and it's fucking awesome. I might just really be into the popular girl clique kind of um waifu. I'm down bad, bro. Uh okay, Lane is talking to a doll and the doll does not reply to Lane when she asks for a story. And then when she does ask for a story that she doesn't know about, the doll does respond and she says she doesn't know that's impossible because Lane knows everything. Now, I'm taking this as this is where the desire for Lane at an early life for the wired or the internet to learn more about stories that she doesn't know about because she can easily imagine the doll talking to her, but she can't make the doll tell a story she doesn't know about because it's an extension of her and couldn't go beyond her thoughts. I hope I'm making sense because Serial Experiments Lain is meant to be very new type and not really complex, but obfuscated in its information, I suppose. Uh, but she does say that before any event there is a prophecy, and then Lane asks what the prophecy, who makes the prophecies, and then it just goes silent. So I don't know what that means. I'm hoping for more Subahiri connections because then I could call Serial Experiments Lain the Subahiri anime adaptation, which is obviously the thematic relevance is not like um, duo identitative dissociative disorder or that multiple personality disorder. Instead, it's about the internet and stuff. So yeah, that's it for now. I'm gonna go. I'm only 5 minutes into the fifth episode. Jeez, I'm gonna change my camera angle. All right, halfway through episode 5, and I'm not gonna make it a face shot this time. I'm going to be looking at this incredibly bright light bulb. Oh, a lot has happened from the last time that I spoke, I suppose, and I don't know how to shot my cinematography because I can barely move in this cramped space. But anyways, a lot has happened. Now, the first thing was that it announced that the traffic lights was being hacked by someone and the information network was completely effed up from a deliberate hacking stunt. And I think it focuses on Mika after this, and she gains some tissues, and because she's hot, she gets hit on by a little boy who spills cola on her, and she did need to use the tissues, which made her read what was on the tissues that she was given to by some random anonymous person. And it says, I hope you can't hear that, but I'm going to keep talking. It says, the other side is overcrowded. The dead have no place to go. Now, what I think that means is the wired overcrowded? The other side must mean the wired, because that's where the dead, in a sense, are going, because they don't need their physical bodies, which is why they're killing themselves. So, I don't know, it's overcrowded, I guess. Mika then looks at this. Wait, she first looks at Lane, who is in the middle of the street, just kind of standing there, and the normal reaction after looking at your sister being on the verge of death. You know what? If these background noises annoy me so much, I should record at a slightly different time. Ugh. Okay, the background noise is getting a bit quieter, so I took some notes here instead of actually writing it down, and I'm just gonna say them verbatim. First of all, I was halfway through episode 5. Now I'm 6 minutes away from ending it, so a quarter after that. Lane is in the middle of the street. The sister looks at that, Mika, and she's just like, what's her problem? That's all she says. And I'm just saying, imagine if your relationship with your family is so messed up that you react just like, wow, what's her problem, instead of help or be scared. That's great. Uh, Family goals. I think the reason why she's in the middle of the street is because she wanted to prove that her hacking worked because it was traffic related, and I got nothing else besides that. After that, she did see her on like the Cinematron or like the big screen in Central Square, and I assume that was also a result of her hacking. And after this is another. I think every single time Lane, as a child, talks to some figure in her childhood, that's not because that's an actual flashback, but because that's inside her brain and what she's thinking, or like what she's, if not that, what she's being told on The Wired. Because what that scene basically means is that someone is lecturing Lane about something that she might not have known. Or maybe because of the what the doll said, it is what it knows, but just subconsciously. I don't know. It's a mess. I'll try not think about it. What I'll try not to think about what it represents and just take it at face value for now before I make any large assumptions. And even if I do, just know that I don't mean it 100% seriously because I expect to be proven wrong. I'm not saying these are facts. Just another guy's interpretations. I know there's tons of videos out there about Serial Experiments Lain, and this is just one of them, so yeah. And on top of that, a very rambly one. Okay, so it talks about a prophecy being fulfilled, and it claims that history is not a straight line, but a connection of points. And Lane asks, hey, who's connecting all these points? And I don't think there was an answer. By the way, whenever she always asks who, she asks who made the prophecy and then who is connecting these points in history. So I'm starting to think that this who she's referring to is Lane, but God Lane on The Wired, because the internet is that important to the real world. Yeah, anyways, her doppelganger's on the loose. She's a big hacker. Her friends mistake her for the hacking incident, and that's because of the face on the screens that shows Lane's face. And not only just big screens, monitors everywhere, apparently, because it appeared in her own household, on her own Navi. I don't know what else. That's it for halfway through. Let me recap myself what happened up until then. Okay. So, with Lane's friends at school, they're talking about the Knights, and they're either a super hacker group or some sort of secret society. That's what they are talking about. I think these scenes sort of hook us into reality because that's what we know to be true, because her friends are not in Lane's incredibly neuropsychosis state of being halfway through The Wired and halfway through the real world. They're trying to figure out the motives of these knights, and something tells Alice that it's not for fun or money. By the way, Alice, super best girl besides Mika. I'm sorry to be talking about waifu rankings in Serial Experiments Lain, but it's really growing on me, bro. She's gonna be the detective that figures all this crap out. I swear. Promise. Alright, after this, her mom in the dream sequences where she's a child in pajamas with the orange light, she is talking about how you can see the wire as an upper layer of the real world, and how the real world is nothing but information passing through the wire, and also how the brain is also just like a computer. May It's just a bunch of electric synapses communicating to each other, neurons firing shit. So that's an interesting way to look at the world. I'm not going to say that it means anything just yet, but the connections between how your brain works and how computers work are pretty similar. So yeah, Lane uh is Lane isn't Lane is always asking the who, because she looks at her mom and she's like, I know everything about the wire and shit. And Lane, she's like, are you really my mom? My mom wouldn't say anything like that. And then she just disappears. So yeah, I'm just gonna say it like transitions a lot, and it uses shots of telephone poles and lines going everywhere, which makes a lot of sense. But another thing is it uses traffic lights a lot. There's a lot of traffic light imagery. I don't know what that's about. Maybe that's like information stopping and going throughout places or something. There's also a lot of staticky screens. That also happens. I'm just noticing shot composition and transitions. Hope they'll come back, I guess. So yeah, finally, Mika actually questions Lane, hey, I saw you in Shibuya or on the street or something. What were you doing? And Lane does not respond, so she's like, forget it. We're going back to Mika's point of view now, and I get the feeling the reason why we're going to her point of view is because Lane is already way too deep. Like, we could not understand what she is going through. She has a doppelganger on the internet, and it's even hard to tell what she is like doing, or sometimes, because that could just be the doppelganger, I suppose. And she is already crazy enough to make a giant computer in her house, so we don't understand what her deal is. But we do know that Mika is just a regular high school girl. So that's good, I guess. And we're going through things in her perspective. She, after the family scene, where she asks Lane stuff, what happens here? Give me a sec. She drinks some water, which might or might not be drugged, and she gets teleported into Shibuya in the middle of the street with cars going everywhere, pretending she was Lane when she saw her stand in the middle of the street. And she starts seeing the people as amorphous black blobs, so maybe she's being more empathetic toward her position at that moment in time. Oh, there's this great shot. Wait, you gotta see this. Hell yeah, dude. Okay. She is in McDonald's. She spills some coffee like an idiot, and the words form, like the stains on the coffee form into the words fulfill the prophecy, and she's just really confused, as we are too, honestly. And then everyone in the McDonald's disappears. So, oh god, my neck is breaking. I need to get into a better posture. Wait. I'm almost done. She goes into the bathroom and she's just like, what the fudge is going on? And I have the exact same reaction right now. I do not understand what is happening. I'll tell you when I do, I guess.
Alright, I'm at the end of episode 5. And more Mika being scared. She's in the toilet and she's forced to fulfill the prophecy even more. And then there's some sort of scene again with Lane's father and her in the dream sequence, I assume. In the childhood sequence, better to say. And he is talking about how maybe what's being shared on the wired isn't just electricity.
in the real world, there's some idea of a god existing, but in The Wire, there might be a literal deus like embodiment. And he comes in the form of prophecies. I don't know what that could mean, and whether or not those prophecies could even come true. But I assume in The Wired, every person has a lot more power and influence than they do in the real world, so they can make these prophecies become easier. And not just that, Lane is also a hacker, so she could literally like change the world if the world is that wired. Um, what else? I After that, I think Mika just comes home and she sees a doppelganger of herself. So there's a lot of doppelgangers in this anime. And she says explicitly the scared one is just like, I'm supposed to be eating dinner with my parents and my family right now, but I'm not. So I assume that her mind is imagining herself going, or her subconscious or something is going through these weird hallucinations of being at the McDonald's and being forced to fulfill the prophecy, but her real physical self is having dinner. And then they finally like meet together at that space. It's just such an interesting idea. Like, I can imagine a version of myself going somewhere else, and then eventually both my real self, who's currently like in bed sleeping, we both diverge and meet. Oh, that's cool. She goes into her room and she asks the computer, "Who is it today?" which is incredibly cryptic. I don't know what that means. Who did what? Hack? Die? Doppelgang? I don't know. Uh, the only other thing of note is her room looks really fucking sick, and I'm actually kind of scared looking at it because it's just a bunch of computer monitors and wires going everywhere, and it's very messy, and it's scaring me. It's really horror-y and creepy. IMO, but it also looks cool as hell. All right, see you on episode 6. Just a quick note, start of episode 6. These scenes of going through the city, it happens at the start of every episode, and they keep getting greener and greener, and I think that's pretty cool. It's more like a transition between the real world into the wired, unless it was already green in the first place. I get the feeling it's purple or like normal colored or something. I'll see what the dialogue says, I guess. Oh, I wasn't recording any of that, but I don't even remember where I came from off of, but it was about the dialogue was about if people connect to each other, the smallest voices will grow louder. And if people connect their lives to each other, their lives will be longer. And I think the first part is about the vocal minority and about how people can spread their opinion on the internet very easily compared to in real life. And for the second part, I get the feeling the density of information you gain from the internet makes it feel like your life will be longer. So that's two thoughts. I mean, they're related to the internet, but I don't know if it's related to the show. And I think those are interesting, again, thoughts to just, shower thoughts, whatever. I'm just at the first part of the episode. Okay, as I promised, I'll keep track every halfway through the episode. And I just didn't really interrupt because I was too enveloped in it and not many thoughts really. But basically, she's contacting the knights, and the knights are very helpful and nice to her. And because of this, well, first of all, we know that she is involving herself with a very dangerous hacker group. That is one. Second, she now does not need to have friends in the real world, which is why her real friends are saying, like, hey, you're reverting yourself
to your old person. You should hang out with real people sometimes. Uh, but before that, and that has some thematic relevance because, um, you stop really having a need to communicate with real people when you can communicate online with random strangers who are probably closer, who you can like find easier for one, I suppose, and also like communicate about things you're actually interested in instead of the limited pool you can reach in the real world. So that's cool. Before that, however, she encounters upon a scene while walking to school. Someone is waving, not really waving, they're opening their hands like they're gonna hug the air, and they're praising the sky, which is weird. Or at least it looks that way. They're like worshiping something by hugging the sky. The way Lane reacts to this at first is just not tilt her head a bit and it's like, and I'm just gonna take that position. I'm just gonna react to the same way about this. But later on, it is explored that more people are doing it, specifically children, and they're hugging the sky. And when she realizes that she's in the middle of the street on some zebra crosswalk, she sees a naked lane open up in the clouds. And that's what that is, I guess. She is becoming God, or at least her doppelganger is. And it's CP. It's CP in the sky. She's like in middle school. Jesus. Close that shit up. It's a weird hallucination, and it's not something that you can just hack, like on a television screen or whatever. It's possible, but in the sky, how do you make someone hallucinate that? That's weird. Uh, okay, what else? Okay, Mika is just completely mind broken. Her mother asks her, "Did you get the college recommendations? How's school going?" And she just says, "Speak the devil." And Mika never reacts. She's just watching TV. Cool, I guess. I don't know. I was asking myself, I sure hope Mika nothing happens to Mika. Because normally when you focus a lot on a character, something bad is going to happen afterwards. That's just storytelling mechanics. Like when you get a flashback of a certain character, they're gonna die right afterwards because they forgot to make you care about the character before then, I suppose. And Mika gets mind broken, so that sucks. It would be kind of weird if she literally died, but whatever. So yeah, Serial Elaine is in her lair now, and someone approaches her, and it's just some rando on the internet. He and it like makes the distinction between how much of yourself you can transport into the wired. Lane is able to transport her entire self, but others normally can only manage ears or a mouth. So they can only hear what's happening on the internet or say something on the internet, but not actually, like, I don't know, not actually be in the wired, except for Lane, who is able to do it, I guess. One interesting thing is that there's this guy called a child killer scientist, and the guy says he's just some old person in a private ward hospital, but Lane knows his true identity of making something. And my assumption is that he made a game who worships Lane for children to play, and that's why they're worshiping the sky. Okay, that's my theories up until now. Gotta watch the rest of this episode. I'm just pointing at random things in my room right now. Anyways, very quick note. Turns out it's not a game that the scientist willingly put children into. They are trying to reproduce the children are trying to reproduce an experiment that he did in the past, and he thought he deleted all the data, but someone else dug it up, and now children are reproducing that in the present. So, and it's because they have some little bit of psychic energy that they can utilize or whatever that are innate in the children, but not adults. I'm just gonna say that I believe what this might represent in the real world is that children are incredibly gullible and influenced by the internet. That's all I'm gonna say. That's why this is specifically targeting children and why adults don't do it. Okay. Say I like this shot of like slowly zooming out. Like that's a realization moment. And what that means, I think, is that okay, someone planted I think I'm getting a bit too ahead of myself. So at first it was all about um the child killer scientist. He made a system. He tried to utilize the innate psychic ability of children into something called a kids system, and it, the only thing that was specified in why he tried to make it is to make something beyond imagination or something. I don't know. Someone rebooted that, and it was some rogue, and Lane is trying to figure it out. Basically, this guy does not know. He's like, talking has made me tired. Curse. No, I'm not gonna answer your stupid questions. um Lane's reaction to this is like, damn, I can't believe you'd use all these children. You didn't think about them at all, didn't you? And I'm like, I didn't expect Lane to be so defensive about children. um I thought she'd be I guess I guess it's because she is one herself. That would make a lot more sense. But I still don't think of her as one. She seems like a complete neurotic person. Uh okay. But I can relate to her in some sense. I'm not like dehumanizing her. I think she's a relatable, moody middle school girl. All right. After that, however, she's trying to find out who did this. Maybe it's the Knights. And she's like, then you're just a bunch of losers. And they kind of are, I suppose. That's not my opinion. He's just trying to find out who is recreating this child killer scientist, Dr. Hodgkinson's experiment. One thing about this shot in particular is that she like leans back. Oh wait, you'll see. You know, one thing that I had to question about this entire sequence is, uh, wait, wait, wait. Yes, this part. She created an entire console and server room inside her bedroom, but she didn't bother buying a fucking gamer chair, and that's why Lane is awful. Serial Experiments Lane, not even a tiny bit realistic or relatable to the real world, just because she didn't buy a gamer chair. All right. I really want to buy one myself, even though all I have is a shitty laptop. Okay, these government guys come back, and Lane incorrectly assumes that they are knights, because they're evil, and they're a hacker group, and they do evil things, such as redo those experiments, which is not confirmed yet. So she just confronts them directly, goes downstairs, like, I knew it. Also, her room is filled with liquid. I assume it's all coolant to not literally blow the entire place. Which is unfortunate, because if you can look at that, the temperature and pressure is rising and stuff, so that sucks. I don't think they're knights either. I think they were just keeping tabs on her. They're the government or something. I don't know. CIA. They're just trying to keep tabs on her because she looks a lot like the doppelganger Lane, god of the Wired, that do evil hacking stuff.
And I don't think the people who restarted the experiment are necessarily um, the knights either, because it's so weird. The knights were so nice to her at the beginning of this episode, right? So, or the beginning of the last episode, I don't remember. So why now are they being evil to her? I don't know. Oh yeah, her room blows up. I knew this because I looked at the counter and like, watch out for your coolant, and it blows up. Apparently, she herself didn't keep track of that. Dummy. All right, that's the end. I'm gonna take a break. 43 minutes on thoughts of the fourth, fifth, and sixth episode. So, around a ratio of 2/3 of thoughts on the episodes themselves, and then watching the episodes themselves, for which is interesting, I guess. Uh, but that also means you might as well just have watched the original thing. I wanted it to be half, so like if it's a 12 episode anime, that's 4 hours. I want my video to be less than 2 hours, hopefully an hour or an hour and a half, but no, this is getting way longer. Serial Experiments Lain is super dense, and I have not made like a comprehensive theory on everything. I've just made vague relationships to real life. That's the deepest analysis I've made, and I didn't really think too much about it or like why I thought the things that I did. I just related it willy nilly, and they were somewhat related, but they weren't. I don't know, deep, I guess. And then I just recapped a bunch of things and what they might mean for the narrative. Oof. Good use of your time. Sorry about that. Thanks for watching all the way up until this point. I genuinely appreciate it. I hope you find my ramblings entertaining. And that is the halfway point. I'm gonna watch the next 6 episodes in a bit. It's currently 2 p.m. and it's only been an hour since the last time I watched 3 episodes of Serial Experiments Lain, and I bought a hot plate. Yeah, no, that's it. It just came here. I used to use my George Foreman grill to as my stove, but now I don't. I'm just kidding. I don't do that. All right, time to start. While I'm setting this up, I just realized I was watching Ori Emo. I know, unbelievable. I can't believe my little sister is this cute. And I'm on episode 6, and I'm currently episode 6 of Serial Experiments Lain. So I'm going past Ori Emo, which is good. Even though I actually like both. I'm liking Serial Experiments Lain so far, and I'm also really liking Ori Emo. Let's not rank either of them, because that'd be very controversial. Hey, did you know that we live in a I just kind of wanted to show you how cool that voice sounded in the beginning. Alright, I'm gonna set up the camera so it's supposed to look at me, but I have no idea if it actually will. That seems a bit too overhead, but that's fine, whatever. I hope you can tell how cramped this place is. I've said that a couple times. So I'm halfway through episode 7, and quick thoughts and recap, another one of these. Again, jog my memory. So at first, what's interesting, I suppose, Lane is saying the personality that's on The Wired is different from the personality that is in real life. And we saw that in episode 6, where she was being way too mean to some random dude on the internet that talks, like, she calls him the Cheshire Cat wannabe or something, and is very adamant on saving children. Like, I think you can really see her personality that she isn't able to portray in real life to people around her, like her family or her friends. But in The Wired, she could. And there's other ideas being presented, like, even though my body is here, my consciousness can travel anywhere it wants. That's also an interesting idea that the internet allows us to do. It'll probably be explored later on, though. Mika walks into her room and she's whispering something. Lane also notices she's acting pretty differently. Maybe she's being affected by all of the hysteria going around at the moment and is just the observer, like an outside observer of everything. And she's just going insane and mind broken. I don't know what her deal is just yet. After this, there's a warning. I forgot what that was about. Um, the stand is like the stand for my phone is blocking the screen, but that's fine. I'm just here to okay. At first, I thought I was like, okay, this is just a bunch of. Sometimes when I don't understand what an anime is going through, and Serial Experiments Lain is obviously one of them. It's something that has to be deciphered instead of just enjoyed to watch. It just feels like a bunch of disconnected events happening that are somewhat related, but not completely, and that's where analysis comes in. I just thought of this entire sequence of events like there's a business uh, meeting going about some EMA motor consortium banquet. I don't know what that's going on, but they talk about playing a game on the Wired, and I assume that's how that's related. And then even after that, there's some fat guy in some room, and he's talking about that's right, you morons, take that. And he just opened up a list on his computer. I don't know how that's related. I guess he just uses the Wired. I don't know. So yeah, um, Arisu, or Alice, she asks Lane, hey, we wanted you to come along with us because we wanted you to be happy. But if you aren't happy, we apologize. Luckily, Lane isn't completely stuck in the wire just yet. And he's like, hey, I'm still happy with you guys. And she's like crying because it's a serious emotional moment of trying to figure out people's emotions. And they're happy, and she's happy that they're both friends. That's good. That's a sign that she isn't completely stuck in the Wired or like transferred her body or like transhumanism stuff. Not yet, at least. She still values her real life friends, and her real life friends are like the tether that she still has to reality before going completely transhumanistic, I suppose. Not only transhumanistic, just being sent into the wire and having no reason for a physical body. Um, what else? Okay, there was this news report of, I assume the Knights or some hacker group. The information network is off, or like it got hacked and something's wrong with it. And the most interesting thing is that this news report is being sent at this present moment, but it could arrive at either tomorrow or yesterday. So either they're replaying it multiple times, or it's the way the news report is being sent is going through, it transcends time. I don't fucking know. Alright. Alright. After this is just a conversation happening on what is it? The Wired. I gotta show you this because it looks very cool looking. Uh, like, yeah, it looks like that. And two people are having a conversation, and they're making search terms for the Knight and Lane, specifically for the Knight. They're a supreme hacker group. I've said already. They not only dabble in messing with information networks, but also with creating and distributing weapons for those networks. And when he searched Lane for the computer, it was like there's no search for results for Lane. And then right here, the person he's asking is, would you happen to be a Knights member? And the second he was asked that, the conversation ends. So that's mysterious, I suppose. I assume he was a member of those Knights. I don't know who the other person of the recipient of the conversation was, but whatever. Right now, we're just going back to the delivery guy, and all he fucking talks about is Navi shit. So Like, I don't know why the delivery man for the Navi is jealous at people who receive them. Like, why? That's, I guess, like, why do you need a spokesperson who already delivers them? Who's already being delivered the item? Whatever. He's checking out some hot housewife. I don't know, same bro. Yeah, totally. And mysteriously, the housewife is like, "Hey, you shouldn't," to her kid. Uh, don't shouldn't you just play net games because you can do that online instead of going there in real life? And he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna teach." She's gonna teach me, and she's like, "There's no difference between the wired and reality." So what I assume from then is that the idea of the wired and reality mixing together is already a household name or like a household idea that everyone has. So that's interesting. When was this anime made again? 1994. I think that was Evangelion. Maybe it was early 2000s. Very progressive. Right now, Lane is being asked to go somewhere by the government looking CIA dudes. I don't know what happens next. I'm gonna have to see. See you next in this journey of the wire. I'm showing you the red part, which is filled. My jumper here with a bunch of stuff on it, which is probably the most, I don't know, lane-like, wired-like that my base comes in. Look at these wires on the ground right now. Those sure are wires. I am in this anime. That's not the point. I finished it. I finished episode 7, I mean. And yeah, basically the second half is just her being interrogated by these dudes. They don't really identify themselves. The point of them is that they want to stop whatever the Black Knights are doing, or the regular Knights. And Lane is finally told their intentions, at least. Now, before that, however, there was this guy. There's this guy who was old, and he is really obsessed with becoming a knight. And so, trying to integrate himself into the wired, he goes outside with like a VR headset. And before, I don't know if virtual reality existed back in 1990s, but if it didn't, this is really prophetic, I guess. And he's walking around, he's saying some weird stuff and trying to believe the deus that exists in the wired. And he did get accepted at one point, but also meets Lane, and he thinks Lane is one of the knights, but Lane just calls him an idiot. That was later. That's during the interrogation itself. And about that interrogation, she first... now, the reason why she had to fix the computer... Like, okay. At first I thought the reason why she was called is because the guys needed, like, a proper mechanic to fix their computer, and they just thought Lane was the one. Of course, it gets deeper than that, but the reason why I think they showed that is because they wanted to prove that Lane isn't just a middle school girl, but also a person who's very skillful with making these computer parts. That's what they wanted to test and prove that was the girl that they were searching for. So when they shoot the shit, they're like, alright, are you Lane or are you Lane of the Wired? Because there's this doppelganger going around. And first of all, she isn't, she, like, apparently has been in direct contact with the Knights before, but she isn't part of the Knights just yet, but they want to use her for something, and it's something to do with the integration between the wired and reality. Either, I think they're trying to, make the connection and not crumble it, and I say that because at the end, the guy is just like, did you know that the connection between the wired and reality is starting to crumble, and Lane just says that's interesting. But whatever. Eventually, Lane breaks down, and okay, before that, however, the guy was like, alright, to prove your lane, Iwakura lane, do you remember your parents or your mother's birthday and when they were married? And she breaks down because she doesn't know. And I thought about my own mother and father's birthday, and it took me a while to remember. Like, it's not the first thing, it's not like a fact that I can easily recall. And when he said, do you never celebrate birthdays or something? And I was like, aw, that's pitifully cute, I guess. That's, ouch. Damn. Oof. Uh, she eventually does transform into the lane of the wired. So this episode puts in the ground that they are the same person. It's just that Iwakura Lane does not know that lane of the wired exists within her. I think that's the case. She just walks away, and the government guys don't even follow her. I think that's the end of the episode, basically. I remember the hot housewife mom was like, she really wanted to play the video game with her son, and that's awesome. That's adorable. Oh, right. She threw away the motherboard that she was given after being delivered it by the delivery guy, and it has the symbol of something. Maybe the Knights, maybe the Wired, maybe something else. Probably the Knights, because it's like a big cult group. And then the old crazy guy also had that symbol. I'll just show you what the symbol is. It's kind of messy. Okay, that was static noise. Here, this thing. That kind of Illuminati-like cult group symbol. I'm gonna have to watch episode 8. See ya. Very interesting message at the start of episode 8 here. The starting message that, like, has the exact same shots of the city over at the start of every episode. Now it's, do you want your heart to feel like it's being scraped with a rasp? And I assume this is a fourth wall break to tell the audience that you're gonna be in a world of hurt if you watch this episode, because at the end it says, if you do, don't look away no matter what. So, looking forward to pain. Alright, halfway through episode 8, I mean, I guess it kinda hurts. Yeah, I think this is the one that has the most thematically resonant episode so far that I can kind of understand. The first thing... Oh, actually, this is kind of an interesting scene, yeah. So, the first thing that happens is that he's spending time with some loser on the internet. It's some sort of online game. Just think of it as an MMORPG, and the guy says, it doesn't matter if God exists in the wired, to the user, and that's pretty much true, even if Al Gore, who I don't know anything about, but I heard he made the internet, if that guy existed and he made himself God in the internet itself, it doesn't really matter, because you only live in your own circle of the internet, to say, the only websites you visit, the only people you interact with. Lane is just like, why do people even like playing this game? And the user says, or this random kid says, people don't know what's fun, and people don't know why. And I think that's pretty much true, especially for children who don't really know why they do the things they do. Like, why do you watch this YouTuber? Why do you play this mobile game? I believe it only works because, they only play it because of a very strong marketing strategy. That's just the first thing that's been exposed to them, but not because they've analyzed every single thing that's on the market. and then chose that thing because it fit for them. No. I mean, it's possible that you'd like something that isn't popular. Like, everyone plays Fortnite, and the reason everyone plays Fortnite is because everybody else plays Fortnite, and because it's marketed, and because they know it exists, you know? Not because it's a quality product and it's genuinely great. Uh, and I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying it's a bad product. I'm just saying everybody knows about it. But they don't know why they play it, why it's fun. That's just one idea. The next thing is Tachibana and what they're doing. Okay, I kind of don't want to ruin this shot of inside my bulb here, but I'm gonna have to sacrifice it to show a pouting Lane face. I think it's great. Okay, that's enough. So in here, it's shown more information about Tachibana themselves. They are a company that is making the 7th generation protocol of the internet, which controls the economy of the wired, and that's who Tachibana is. They're trying to control the economy of the wired, which is why the knights who are trying to connect reality and the wired is like bad, or like they're doing something bad and they don't want to know why they're doing it. I guess they just know they're doing something bad and they want to stop it. They're just a big company, I guess. And it's spread around by rumors, and rumors is the theme of this episode. Jesus. Lane is internet Jesus. That's my point. Currently, the 6th generation protocol is like outdated and reached its data throughput limit, so which is why they're making a 7th generation one. Mika is just depressed. That's all I gotta say about that. Next scene, when she interacts with her parents, they don't interact with her at all. They're just kind of quiet. And she, while almost crying and going to the fridge to get some coffee, drink, or something, she's like, someone asked me something. They asked, you're Iwakura Lane, right? Your parents are your real parents, right? And people say the funniest things, and all the while she's like on the verge of tears, which I smirked at because I'm a psychopath. Later, though, they just kind of stare at her. They don't say anything. They just stare at her. They're the first people to know that Lane of the Wired did something. And then her friends go up to her and they say, and they stare at her again. What did you do? You're not the Lane that did this thing, right? And then in class, she has another scene where everyone just stares at her. So apparently when Lane of the Wire does something weird and they assume Lane did it because they look incredibly similar, they're just like, they just stare at her. They don't even call her weird names. They just do that. Maybe, I don't know. Whatever, I guess. In the scene with her friends, Arisu looks at a guy in a car and she runs away. I don't know who the guy in the car is. She plays on her phone in class, as she always does. And she transports herself into the wired again, in an artistic expression way, scene, whatever. She interacts with God. Oh, and there's a ton of rumors being said about, like, everyone. I think the way that this scene is supposed to be portrayed. Okay, wait. Let me try to find a good. Yeah. Like this, I guess. Is that this looks like a family gathering scene in Japan where everyone sits across to each other and they're wearing family clothes, kinda. And they're on a tatami mat. So this is supposed to be like a familial scene. A familial gathering scene. That's just what I think. That's what it looks like, at least. And there's like an infinite amount of people, and they're all spreading rumors basically, saying weird stuff about the Knights and Lane and whatever. Alright, I actually kind of want to find another thing. I'll record it again when I find it, but what they're conversing is that he finally finds God, and they finally define what God is. It's not the creator, it's not like a ruler. He's just omnipresent. He is everywhere. That's what God is in this sense. And it is an extension of herself. Like, okay, this is finally where it delves into identity and how you can't really define yourself on the internet as the same identity as you are if you don't do the same things that you do on the internet. I just realized can't tell. I can't tell. Sorry, this is unrelated, but I can't tell if the light that is reflecting on my phone screen is being recorded or not. I don't think it is. That was dumb. But yeah, basically, you a part of yourself, like an unrestrained part of yourself, um, detaches from your real life identity into your internet identity, and you cannot make similarities between them. Like, they become so different, you become dysphoric with the idea that there are two versions of yourself, and this version you don't even know what they're doing. And that's how it portrays Lane in real life, since everyone keeps staring at her and she didn't know what she did. Like, we're looking at this through the eyes of the Lane who doesn't understand what she did. So yeah, it's a cool concept that it's exploring right now. She is both omnipresent in the internet and did something really evil, and we're just seeing it through the eyes of a gloomy middle school girl. Uh, okay, we're gonna have maybe. This is becoming even more Subihebe like. Shoot, because Mamiya Takaji doesn't know the cult things that he did. Fuck, this is awesome. I'm gonna make. I mean, I'm analyzing Serial Experiments Lain right now, but maybe I could make some sort of video that's like, Serial Experiments Lain is the anime adaptation of Subihebe, and here's why. Someday. Okay, someday. Okay, this shot of Lane is also really good because it like zooms out. Not fuck. I pressed the button. Damn it. Okay, whatever. I'll search it up again, but that's what it looked like. The only other thing that I wanted to say is the power of rumors of this dissociative identity, um, like the identity of you on the internet, and how rumors are spread about that identity that you don't identify your real life self with. So they are rumors about you technically, but they're not really. And that conflict that you have is the crux of why the internet is the way it is. I don't fucking know what I'm talking about. But I don't know how to explain it, I suppose. But that's what I think it's about. When you, like, fart in class, am I right, Dab? She gets called a peeping Tom for some reason, but yeah, whatever.
Hello, Nabi.
This anime is fucking speaking to me.
Okay, I think this second half of episode 8 will be when, like, first of all, I understand it the most. Second, it'll be very resonant because it's the one that I understand the most, I believe. With one main theme, which I've already repeated a bunch of times, that your internet identity and your real life identity are different entities now. So she is currently very desperate to find her one and only friend, Urisu, Alice. That's sad. I wish her the best. Wait. She's trying to figure out what she did in The Wired. This is kind of weird. Like, she becomes... Okay. It starts to get very, What was this anime? Akira? It gets very Akira-like. I haven't watched it. I tried watching it, but the torrent wouldn't download.
Sorry, I don't use Florent. Actually, I do. I lied. I'm sorry. Okay, yeah. This part, searching, and that's basically when she is currently finding information about all of her friends, and Arisu has a crush on a teacher that she likes, and that's why earlier in the episode she ran away from the teacher. And yeah, we have smug Lane over here who notices this, and she's like, I know your secrets now. I'm gonna spread all these rumors. And I thought at first this is for like payback, like her evil part of herself trying to get payback from all the rumors that was spread around of her. And later on, she confronts her evil self that did do all this revenge for trying to find out information about her friends and spreading all these evil rumors. We didn't see like the effects of the rumors that were spread about Arisu, but whatever. I'll assume that that happened and it didn't have time to show it. And she is trying to deal with the fact that when you say the statement, like, okay, the simple fact of saying I'm Lane is contradictory and false because you have two identities now, your internet self and your real life self. And just the fact that this simple fact isn't true anymore is very confusing and conflicting and hard to deal with emotionally. That's why I think having an internet identity is just, that's incongruent with your real life identity. It's like hard to deal with, I guess, because it basically becomes your other self that you have no control over. They talk about her being omnipresent, but she doesn't realize she is, I suppose. Like, she is everywhere, but she doesn't know or interact with the part of her that is omnipresent or is everywhere. Now she is deleting, as it says, about all the information that she grabbed from her friends. The evil Lane that grabbed information that, and then she spread rumors around about him. She does eventually happily meet back up with her friends, and they all go to Siberia together, and it's all fun. Not Siberia, Russia, Siberia Cafe and Club. And that's not true. Not her happy self is the evil part of herself that she's trying to keep, but her quiet self is just kind of seeing her happy other identity interact with her happy friends, and it's very conflicting to watch as well. Like, she doesn't want this to happen. She doesn't understand that herself became two, you know? You understand? I'm not here to explain bullshit, okay? This is the most resonant one for me, as I've said a couple times. It makes the most sense. The other times there was a few things that didn't like click, and with the theme, like I didn't understand the theme at first, but now this one about rumors and identity, it gets me a lot. Also, when it said hello Navi and like in that voice, I'm just swoon over a 12-year-old. I can't stop. This is my confession. Shit. Time to go to episode 10. Wait, 9.
Hello, Nabi.
Stop jump scaring me. Okay, so I guess I wanted to experiment for episode 9 here because and what I mean by experiment is that I didn't pause halfway in between to recollect my thoughts, and I just watched the entire thing. And I'll be honest, maybe after episode 8 and analyzing everything, my brain just kind of stopped working for a moment there because I started feeling pretty sleepy. Probably because all I've been doing is just watching the same anime this entire day. And I still got 3 more episodes to go, so, looking forward, but I still got a bit sleepy. Those Mamiya Takuji feels, am I right? Anyways, I got more connections to Subihibi this episode. But it like let me just go through the entire episode part by part. I won't pause this actually, because then it'll have some cool visuals in the background, video, whatever. So this episode is interspersed with like really old conspiracy tapes that try to convince people that aliens exist or whatever. And they're basically giant exposition dumps. And I actually like them because it's just exposition dumps on the real world. So it's basically lecturing you. And, I'm okay with having more knowledge. And it's cool that this piece of media researched on it and is teaching the viewer something new. That's cool. So when it explained what the Roswell incident is, and I'm not going to tell you what that is. Actually, you know what? Fuck it. A UFO landed in Mexico in 1947. She imagined an alien. So I thought, she was hearing things on the internet and then imagining they happen in real life. Because I remember when I was a kid, a stupid, gullible kid, I read Slender Man and other creepypastas, and I thought they existed, and I thought that would be a part of why it's all happening. So that's a possibility. I'm not going to deny it or say it's completely true. Yeah, as I said, it intersperses with these explanation sections. I stopped really thinking about them, but it's interesting, I guess. They're all connected with the same people doing... Basically, I think the reason why it shows them is because after they experienced that alien Roswell incident, all the members that were related to it started doing weird things on their own, and we'll see more of that when you go through it. This scene is about people on the internet trying to figure out the identity of Lane, and how, like, knowing and understanding the person who says behind these anonymous messages are what people think is important. And I like how it shows the people have, like, some people have eyes, some people have ears, some people just have hands. And that's very, like, that shows the amount that you invest into being a part of the Wired. Because earlier it said only some people have ears and some people have mouths. And the more body parts you have in there is how connected you are to the Wired, basically. The Memex memory, I don't know, that's about... I think this is more incongruous with your memories. She left something in the club, and it's not known what it is. Lily... Oh, this is an interesting thing, yeah. Basically, dolphins have their own network, have their own version of the internet in a sense, because they can make signals throughout the ocean. Like, they have a medium of communicating with other dolphins by sending high wave frequencies through the ocean, and other dolphins can hear it. That's a really interesting thought, that the ocean is basically the internet in a sense. These kids return, and they do their date finally, I guess. The reason why she does invite him on a date is because she wants to know more about the chip that she got and forgot to put there, I guess. So I don't know, maybe the other Lane is trying to communicate with the normal world Lane, real life Lane, with giving her parts in the club or something. I have no idea. Like, I don't know where the psyche came from, and that was from school. So yeah, she's getting information from Taro, and she suspects that Taro is part of the Knights, which isn't really confirmed, I think. But yeah, the parents are just downstairs and they hear music coming from their room, and Mika has her hands in her under her shirt, and she isn't wearing pants, so that's kind of weird. She, like, licks... Oh, wait, no, she doesn't... She, like, is on the phone hand. I don't know. She's completely mind broken. I don't even want to attempt to understand what she's going through. So yeah,
she's trying to figure out what the chip does, basically. It allows her to erase memories, I think? Okay, it'll overwrite existing memories. Okay. Alright. Okay. And it explains what the knights are again. They try to make the one truth into reality. And why one truth? Because the one truth is because it is the truth, and the truth is just. And it's not explained. So, whatever, I guess. This just reminds me of Umineko because they're also trying to find the one reality truth. Yeah, that's it. I love Umineko, man. That's it. That's the whole point of that. Taro kisses. Yeah, there you go. I thought it was cute, unironically. And she isn't like, oh my god, I didn't do this with consent. This is totally wrong. But no, she's like, she takes it head on, or whatever. I think it's cute. Ted Nelson makes Zanadu, whatever. Okay, I really like this scene because she's trying to recall her memories, and it's an excuse for a flashback scene to happen, but she says, click, click, memory check, which is how a computer would do it, and that's just a very funny way of introducing a flashback scene. It reveals that she is not, like, biologically part of their family. She was adopted, and she's looking at her past self, who states that she is her, and that is cool. A bizarre but interesting way to present that way. I couldn't imagine being Lane, the newly adopted Lane, looking at her room right now. So weird. So unbelievably not understandable. So yeah, I think this lesson particularly is pretty interesting because it delves into the idea of Denpa directly, that there are electromagnetic waves traveling in the air as we speak, like TV waves, radio waves, the internet, that's all in the air that you cannot see. And these people are trying to use that knowledge, the Schumann resonance, that's what the waves are called, or something like that, into something manageable as they try to make it into the 7th generation protocol. Why it's important is, where was it? They utilize it in a weird way. Like, oh, okay, yeah. The reason why it's important is that the Schumann resonance has this innate ability to, like, connect human beings or something like that. What I'm saying is that it is the genesis of the connection between the wired and reality. That's what I'm saying. And the creator committed suicide. Cool. The lasting message that we get from this episode is some edgy guy appears. He has black bandages and he looks like this. There you go. That's the guy. That's the evil man from Tsukihime. I don't remember his name. Yep, that's everything from episode 7 till 9. I'm gonna take a break. Holy crap. Neck problems again. I'm gonna get early arthritis from sitting here. Jesus. Okay. See ya in the last batch of episodes. Alright, around 2 hours later, it's actually night. And, yeah, my makeshift lane base is glowing as blue as ever. Have lost it all. Ah! Sorry for annoying you. It is currently not present time. It's 3 hours since the last record sesh that I had with this, and I'm being incredibly, very inefficient today. I expected to finish this in, around 4 hours. This is a 13 episode anime, and I'm only, like, 3/4 in, and I have wasted, I would say, let me think, it was from 4 a.m. and it's currently 19. So just
15. It's been 15 hours. I'm going to die. I'm going to die in this chamber. I've done nothing except watch Serial Experiments Lain today. Oh god. Alright. And I do have work. Some work. Whatever. It doesn't matter. I'm gonna keep my mind on Lain. It's not like it matters if I do, because I'll be able to do it later. Oh gosh. Brain on Lain. Let's all love Lain. I have not seen the Love Lane meme yet, but I'm really looking forward to it. Holy shit. Alright, I'm a fifth of the way in, and they're talking about, holy crap, that's not even on me. Okay, wait. There you go. That's not on me. Whatever. So, conversation with God, apparently. I was gonna forget the main girl's name. Lain says she doesn't need a body anymore. Idiot. She says at the end that's a lie, since God said that again. I don't know why they're rehashing that, but no problemo. She says she created the protocol which caused the wire to evolve, and now there's compressed info in there about a guy named Ari Masami, who I think created the 7th generation protocol using the Schumann resonance, and then she will live as an, because of that, and I don't really know the causation to correlation here, but because of that, she can live as an anonymous entity on the Wired as an omnipresent being, but she isn't really a god because she isn't worshipped. However, she has either experienced or created something that can be worshipped, which is a cult, which is the Knights. And that's the deal. She does not want to die or, move on from a physical body just yet. I think that's the point of that scene. But the plan is going smoothly, I assume, to integrate reality and the Wired, and her becoming a god through the influence of these Knights. Alright, I gotta finish an anime here. Alright, episode 10 is really when Lain starts stop being in the physical world and start migrating to the Wired world. Let me just pause on her scared, despondent face there. So at school, she goes in, her desk isn't even existing because she stopped being real or being physical. I assume this is the part of her psyche. Wait, that's not the right word to use. This is the part of her mind that's pretending to be real, I guess, even though she's completely migrated to the Wired world by now, that pretends to be in the real world. Imagines all these situations. The teacher sees right through her. No one interacts with her. Her friends completely ignore her, except for that one time when Alice responds by saying, "You're not needed in the real world," and that hit like a truck to her, basically, because she's really been trying to stay in the real world. That's what she really wants, but she just, because of innate desires, I assume, or the lane of the Wired part of herself, her evil counterpart tries to bring her into the Wired. And she, the physical, real life part of her, her past self, is completely left in the dust. Later on, she meets with her father, and all he says is just, "Goodbye, you're not needed," or I truly loved you as a father and such. That's heartwarming, especially when he bought her, the new Navi and stuff. And wasn't even a bad guy. He mostly took on the brunt of her daughters, which sucks. Anyways, dad appreciation aside, he says, Lain says, "I don't want to be all alone, don't leave me." But he says, she won't be alone. I mean, she's gonna be alone maybe physically, but she won't be alone in general, because everyone in the Wired will welcome her.
So that's pretty darn cool. After this, the sky has cybernetic electric stuff. Maybe it's better to just show you. Wait, yeah, that. And there's electricity going through these circuits in the sky. That is awesome looking. And that's all I wanted to say. Alright, I need to finish this anime. Alright, right after the halfway point and the episodes, before the episode ends, episode 10, basically she's trying to find out who the knights are, and the scene right after that, we do actually find out who they are because one of them's confirmed. Well, not really. He was just kind of hinted to be one. Taro, which is in the group of kids, and then we see that the mom, who has the son, and who was given a Navi, also is part of the Knights, and some other random otaku guy who said, "Ha, what a bunch of morons! Those are all Knights." I did not get that, and I was kind of wondering why any of those scenes were like that. And I remember theorizing that the reason why the mom was brought up was so she could say Wired and reality are the same, was because it was a household idea at the time. No, it was because she was a knight, so I guess I'm stupid. Anyways, that was brought up because they all committed suicide. I think it was caused by the Tachibana? Is that what the organization was called? Sure, whatever. Those guys, the CIA agents, the government people that were trying to track Lane from the very beginning. Those guys made them commit suicide, and their policy is that the Wired is only meant to reinforce the real world and not become its own thing, or become more than just a reinforcement for information transferring, I suppose. Lane did not say anything back at them. She just said, "But still, but monkey." That ain't right. I assume at this point Lane just stopped caring about the physical world. Everything has left her, and now she's gonna stay in the Wired. Can't wait to watch the next 3 episodes about just being in there. One thing that I forgot to mention is that when she was meeting with the father earlier in the episode, her room was completely normal. There was no weird computer shit in there that was present for basically most of the series, like until she builds her first computer in episode, I don't know, 5 or something. Probably earlier than that. But anyways, that's that. I'm gonna go watch more. Oh, damn. Alright. Turns out everything's a lie. I think now Lane. I'm at the end of episode 10, and now I'm just starting to think Lane is a child soldier, some kind of test tube baby from the Wired who was given a hologram, like a physical body to inhabit, but that person doesn't actually matter or exist. She was just given a physical body to be given fake friends, fake family, and those are all lies. And then once she realizes that, who knows what'll happen in the next 3 episodes? Holy crap. The telephone wires start coming down. There's a lot of electrical effects. That looked pretty cool, and I can't wait until I saw like her room explode with electronics and the computer stuff, and I want to see the entire world eventually become Wired. I remember in Paprika where the dream reality and the the dream world and the reality world start mixing in Paprika. And that was awesome to look at. I'm hoping something similar happens in Lane. Alright, see you next episode. While we were in the opening of the 11th episode, I forgot to mention, I think, that the old god who created Lane, or something like that, maybe he was a scientist or something, he says, "I need a worshiper to still be a god," or something, and he's like, well, I only need one believer to be a god, and that's gonna be you, Lane. And Lane is like, yo, fuck that. And then she becomes god. At least I think so. There's like a Dragon Ball Z aura going around her or something. Basically that. And then the telephone wires like fall. Yeah, she's got a lot of power. Remember when she was like, go away to the CIA government agents on episode 4 or something? That was a show of godhood. I don't know how, but sure. Alright. Recording this made me miss the opening. Damn it, it's such a good one. Alright, I'm just gonna watch the episode. Okay, this beginning message is really interesting. It shows the same sequence of events of the shots of the city, like this, but it also intersperses it with visuals instead of dialogue. So it's trying to show you that someone is like trying to hack into the, like, become part of the Wired or put on their VR headset. Alright, it just replaces the dialogue with visuals this time. That's cool. Okay, so I'm currently seeing a lot of recycled animations, and I'm already halfway through-ish episode 11. And turns out, or at least what I'm thinking, is that it's a recap episode of the last 10 episodes of Lain to prepare you for the next 2 episodes. And sounds about right, because at the end of episode 10, she has basically lost all reason to be in the physical world and completely migrated to the Wired. And that's what I said before, but I'm just reminding you. Now, the way that this recap... Now, I think a recap episode at this point, if it is one, really helpful and also pretty fun, just looking at the aesthetics of this show. So, very needed, and it's very fun to watch as well. I love all of those edits where it's just like staticky screens and zoom in and aesthetics and computers, bro. I love it. So many filters. The way that it does its recap, obviously it's not going to compress all the last 10 episodes into just this one episode, because first of all, that's kind of impossible, and second, like, there's no reason to really do that. What it's meant to do is remind the audience what happened up until that point, not retell the story, but in just a much shorter form. This is new animation. I feel like it's not completely a recap episode. This is new animation. I'll watch it, but whatever. I think I just wanted to say it's fun to watch. There might have been something else. The way that it does is recap. Again, it only reminds, but not retell. And that reminds me of the Karen no Kyokai recap, where it's exactly the same thing. It just shows very disconnected, disparate events that happen in the Karen no Kyokai movies, but not actually show you any of the plot that happens. Like, it doesn't show really important dialogue. It just shows them talking, and for the people that watched it already, they'd understand what's happening. For the people that haven't watched it yet, they would not at all. So that's great. That's great how the recap is shown like that. I love those types of recaps. Alright, I'm gonna go watch the rest, because apparently the second half of this episode is not a recap. God makes the interesting distinction that Lain has stopped becoming hardware and is currently software. So that's cool. Maybe back in the 1990s, people didn't really understand what either of those words meant, but nowadays we do, so that's cool. Yes, she's in the Wire. Wait. Just missed this. So all these telephone poles, they do show up pretty often, but this time they're just a complete mess now. Like, they're not even, it used to be structured. Now it's just a blob of wires. Oh, another thing. Lain says she don't talk about her like if she's a machine. That's what she says. So she's still pro-human after all this. That's cool. Will be the last sound you'll hear before you die. And that's also the last thing you'll see before you die. Okay, so, um, currently, I think sometimes the anime likes to step back from itself and, like, just bring the focus from Lane to one of her victims. Last time it was Mika, or maybe even before that there was another character, but this time it's one of her friends, Arisu, Alice. And she is like, you sent all those rumors about me liking a teacher, alright? That was you, Lane. I saw you. But Lane says, that's not me. That's my other me. And you're not you either. I feel like I'm saying a quote from Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared. But yeah, basically, there's other versions. She's introducing the concept of other identities existing on the internet, of you, and the disparity between them, and how you might not even be aware of the things that you're doing, I guess. Um, so don't worry, in the end, Elaine says. She's like, I'm gonna undo all this. I have become literally God. Don't worry. You've made friends with literally God. And tomorrow morning, um, she basically just removes, like, everyone's memory of Alice and her teacher, their relationship, and her crush on him. That's what everyone forgets about. And I suppose she just has that power because being God on the internet, which is the place to transfer information, you can just delete that information from everyone's minds. I don't know how you can undo that, really, but I guess if you're God, you can do anything. I didn't really analyze any of that, I just recapped it. Cool that Lane is God now. Let's all love Lane. Thank you. This has been Lane propaganda the last 4 hours of this video, I bet. I stopped right before the episode ended, but she smiles, and that means she's enjoying her new power. I guess that's that. I guess it also really only needed a recap for the first half of the episode. The next half, it sort of just showed an example of one of Lane's powers. I guess, yeah, that's it. Poor Alice, by the way, she was crying at the end. She doesn't deserve any of this. Neither does Mika, I think. I mean, she was kind of an asshole, but I liked her. Maybe I just have a thing for high school girls. I'm still not done yet. I'm still a bit immature. I wasted my high school years. Oh right. I don't know. I guess a comment that Choo Choo said, or I don't remember her actual name, Lane, but the girl that looked like Choo Choo. She said, "Oh, is it that time of month?" And I'm like, "Huh." I've seen a lot of people like say that joke. And apparently they do that in Lane too. I should probably not think about saying that. And I don't think I've ever said it in my life because I've never been in a situation where I would make fun of a girl acting weird. Disappointing, my life, I mean. Alright, next episode. Did I mention the title Infornography, which is the recap episode? Yeah, it's like pornography and information. It's information pornography. That's such a cool title. Infornography. I like it. I love puns. Enough of that. I'm 11 episodes late to do this joke, but the past is history. The future is a mystery. And today is a gift. That's why we call it
Present day. Present time.
ha 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 ha. I stole that joke. I stole that joke, by the way, and I'm so proud. Okay, so that exact line, um, that I understood that line immediately because it's in Evangelion, and I was just gonna bring it up. Like, you exist. Like, okay. imagine you imagine that there's only one version of you, but there's actually a lot of versions of you. They just exist in different people's minds. So your mom's version of you, your dad's version of you, your friend's version of you, they're all different people because not necessarily because you act different to all of them, even though personas do exist. It's that they have a different interpretation of what you are and what you're like. And I'm just gonna say I got that from Evangelion, so thank you. That was like preliminary, um, a a necessary course to understand before watching Serial Experiments Lain. Good to know. Are y'all ready for literally the first shit post ever made? I love it. Alright, short face cam here, but basically, wait, give me a sec. That just, whoops. Oh god, I shouldn't record this. Oh no, this is embarrassing. You think I'm gonna cut this out? No, I'm not. You, look. So, episode 12 has basically just been it has not become a show anymore. It has a narrative. It's just sort of a PowerPoint presentation that has interesting ideas in it. And that's fine. And I'm not like criticizing for that. So I'm just gonna talk about these ideas that are being presented. So, with the genesis of the seventh protocol, seamless information could be shared now. And there was a monologue with God that was like, or the narrator or something. He was like, mankind stopped evolving. Like, their physical bodies have not seemed to have progressed at any point, really. I'm just gonna say the reason why I think that's the case. Maybe it's because, like, the reason why species evolve is because they all need a certain desire to do something. For example, if like giraffes used to have shorter necks, I assume I'm not Darwin over here, but they grew longer necks because they all wanted to eat fruit off of trees. But for humans, all of our desires and purposes and functions are very varied in the modern world. Some people are athletes, some people sit at home all day, and they are being as productive as they are too. And we don't really need an evolution, I suppose. So that's why, first, we can evolve more, not from becoming physically better, but become, in a way, more intelligent instead. We have to evolve our intelligence. And the first step in doing that is to share information with each other, share our intellect with each other, so we can all collectively, unisonly become better as a species like that, which is what the Wired is for. We transfer all of that information, so that is the first preliminary step to human evolution. Or I'm just rambling out of my ass here. You guess. Alright. An episode and 3/4 of an episode left. Hopefully they're interesting. So yeah, this dude just gets like an exorcist level seizure and sees Lane. So I'm assuming this is another Evangelion call over here with human instrumentality and everyone becoming part of one human instrumentality, as I said, and Ray appearing in everyone's eyes. Cool, cool, clap, clap, it all comes tumbling down. I'm falling, I'm fading. I tried singing the opening, I suck. Alright, so, yeah, I assume it's called Landscape, because, and I'm only halfway through the episode, but it's trying to paint what the world is like with Wired and reality becoming one. That's why it's called Landscape. It is also trying to show the effects of it to certain characters. This is for the government guys, and they are showed first. Well, first it shows how the world reacts to it, I guess, and news stations. It's all love Lane. The government is like the government guys, Tachibana, whatever. They are trying to escape from all this, but they can't in the end because look at that girl. And the next one is with Alice, Arisu, so we'll see. I'm not going to show it, but looking at the bloody house that the Iwakuras live in after Lane became part of the Wired, and Arisu is currently exploring it. It's really bloody, and everyone seems to be murdered. It reminds me of Sayano Uta, and that's a cool visual novel. Alright. Mika, my girl, is still calling outside of the doorway from episode... I don't even remember at this point, like 9, 8, I don't remember. My girl, don't listen to that Arisu crying. Okay. Damn, listening to Arisu complain to Lane about her memories being left all alone while everyone's memories were taken away in some way or form. That reminds me of another thing, and I know the last thing I said was that how the way this looks reminded me of Sayano Uta, but I just want to say I just finished Kaiba, and Kaiba is all about memories and stuff, if you watched that. I've just been watching a lot of pretentious elitist anime at the moment. Serial Experiments Lain. Oh, and Orihimo, of course. Okay. Well, that's cute. Lane is saying Arisu is still the only friend that she has. Fucking adorable. Okay, I gotta watch this. Y'all, screen cap right now. I need to tell this exact message to everyone ever. Speaking of, you know what? Whatever the hell Lane was talking about, something about everyone understanding everyone else on a fundamental, or like at an unconscious level, at least at one point. I assume that either means, and in history we all as humans used to understand each other, or it could be the Tsubahime way, which is, of course, the only way I interpret things. All humans unconsciously, on a subconscious level, have a similar understanding of things, and that's how we can predict the future, at least in Tsubahime's case. And this also talked about prophecies in some sense. I mean, they're both Tsubahime and I hope you played Tsubahime, or at least know a bit about it before watching this, but I think both Tsubahime and Serial Experiments Lain are already similar because they're both denpa pieces of media, and, well, I need to explain the concept of denpa to you now, but just Google search it, just whatever. And, I don't know, human instrumentality project. So, Lane, basically, she has admitted that ever since her conception, the reason she was born is she was a program meant to destroy the barrier between the wired and reality, and she never had a human side to begin with, but she was just given a physical body because she needed to have a part in the real world to connect the real world self and the wired self. That's what I am picking up on. And also, yeah, our physical bodies, we don't need them. We can just be brains, vats in a jar, connected through some sort of network. We don't need physical bodies. In fact, I've always thought about the way to erase racism and stuff like self-expression for LGBT people. I don't know why I'm taking it there, but the way to fix those issues is just stop having physical attributes in the first place to compare each other to. Like, for example, we already place values to men and women, and the reason people are trans is because they prefer these values that women have, or vice versa. If we never had those values in the first place, then we don't have to express ourselves in special ways. So my desire, I suppose, is we all just be born as amorphous blobs that are featureless and cannot be compared to each other. That's why and because of that, we can't call each other black or have like innate characteristics we can base people off of. Then the only way to compare people's like value or like intelligence is their intelligence, is their thoughts. We can, whatever. Amorphous blobs, you can only compare them because of their intellect, you know? That's what I'm saying. We don't need physical bodies. If only I wasn't so gosh darn hot and adorable, you know? Then people wouldn't be jealous of me. That's what I'm saying. Moral of the story, everyone. I hope someone was able to follow with whatever I was saying. This show is incredibly new type. Watch Digibro's neurotype chart. Very new type. And I know he already put that on the corner of his chart, this anime and the character Lain in general. And I have been debating with whether or not if I was a new type myself. And I can sort of understand, like, parts of this anime, and the parts that I didn't understand, rather because just the information wasn't given to me yet. They introduced or like shown a concept, but didn't explain how it was related to anything else in the plot. But after it was, I understood. Maybe I could list things that I don't understand yet. One of them is, why the hell do the CIA agent guys have those visors that have lasers mounted on them? I don't know what purpose they have. Maybe it's an aesthetic thing. I don't know. There's probably other things, but I think I understand the main concept of the wired and reality connecting to each other, and identities splitting when you have an internet person and a real life person. It's a lot. I'm not going to go through it when I'm just halfway through episode 12. I'll talk a lot more after the series ends. Sudden realization, God is Minami Ari, or whatever his name was, creator of the 7th protocol. Okay, that's it. Alright, second last episode just ended, and the God is being questioned by Lain about where all of his ideas came from. About, like, how, I don't know, the wired was an upper layer. No, not that. About how he had the idea to make the human unconscious level to the conscious level, whatever. I didn't actually understand that part. Normally when there's jargon like that, that's what I think is, like, boring. That dialogue is I couldn't get it. I don't really want to think about his motives too much, but basically Lain is just like, without a physical body, you couldn't understand something. And so he decides to build a physical body, and it is out of computer parts. And he uses his tendrils to grab these middle school girls, and I'm not gonna say any more. I would think more about it, but I have a headache, and so I choose not to. Second last episode, you'll have to see what is in store for that, basically. An interesting idea, I suppose, is that he was never really powerful. He's only powerful in the Wired. But before the Wired existed, he was just a latent god. Like, he didn't exist yet. He didn't have power until he existed. I suppose that's a way to think about it. I don't know. Maybe there'll be more answers in the last episode, hopefully. Oh god, the journey is about to end, and it is 9 p.m., and I started watching at 4 a.m., so more than 12 hours. 15 hours, I think.
Let's
Present
go.
day.
Present time. Watching the opening, she never had that earring. That's all I wanted to say. TV Lane over here, that's adorable. She's also doing the tsundere pose. I love it. I've always noticed this. Like, I watched the opening way before I watched the anime so many times, and I'm just showing it to you right now on the last episode. The last time I'll practically watch it, unless I rewatch it. I'll probably rewatch it using the dub, and I saw a clip, and it's like uncannily bad. It's so bad it's good sometimes. It's really funny. But I will not take the story seriously if I watched the dub the first time around, so yeah. Darn, I sure suddenly really want to talk about the opening a lot now. I'm going to find a red, like, skirt, a black shirt, sweater, a brown beige like jacket, and the bottoms are red, and this exact like hat beanie, and then some sort of hair accessory. I'm cosplaying as this some damn day, okay? It looks so comfy. That makes you and me, Lane. And I don't seem to understand. I'm sorry. So it stopped being about having a different identity and personality online, and now it's existence. Do you exist online? Are you a different existence? I'm not a existologist. I'm trying to be a philosopher, I guess. I don't know. Has there ever been a discussion? Because, I know Plato wasn't there when the internet existed. Maybe he would have had thoughts about what self exists on the internet. Does a part of me exist when I take a picture of myself and then I share it around? Does that influence the thoughts that people have about me? And does that mean that the existence that are in people's thoughts of me are just as valid as the existence that I think of myself? I swear I'm making sense, and I'm not just saying words that are randomly put together. Ugh. Hey, speaking of Alice, just like Tsubihime, there's quite a few, like, Alice in Wonderland connections to this Tsubihime and Serial Experiments Lain, but Tsubihime was a lot more explicit about it. In Serial Experiments Lain, a girl is obviously called Alice, and she, in a sense, is being brought into the rabbit hole that is Lain and her world of the wired. That's really all I got going for that theory. The only other thing is that what was his name? Shoot. Lane calls someone a wannabe Cheshire cat, and he's like the exposition character who follows her around that one time, I guess. I don't know. Alright. Oof. My lord, the catharsis here of Arisu and Lane hugging in front of the black writhing mass of computer parts. I forgot that I did not zoom out when I put myself on camera like this. Whatever, I'm just gonna keep it like that. What I wanted to say about this scene is that it's a complete mirror of what happened earlier in the show when Alice wanted to keep inviting Lane to all of her events with her friends because she wanted Lane to be happy. But in this case, it's the other way around. Lane wants Alice to be happy, which is why she fought against God. But what she experienced was so messed up that she didn't know how to take it. And she just says, everything I tried to do for you, Alice, is messed up. She keeps messing things up. Yeah. I forgot what else I was gonna say. Oh, right.
Alice like slaps her so hard she starts bleeding, which makes no sense because it's blunt damage. But no, I think she just had really sharp nails at that time. Alright. Surprised Lane even bleeds, bro. Okay, I kind of wanted for the last episode to not interrupt during the episode itself and just let the entire thing play out. But, I don't know, maybe I might forget to think of this. The entire world reset, and we can clearly see that it is a laneless world. I'll try to find there it is. You're supposed to see Lane there. On the first episode, she walks out, but it's just an empty door. And there's an empty seat there as well, and the father is going to question it, but yeah, he doesn't really. I was going to say, like, he might have said, why did we buy a four-chair table when there is only 3 people in our family or something, but no. Maybe that would have been a too unsubtle. Anyways, I recorded this because Alice says, if you aren't remembered, you don't exist. Which is a weird thing to say when no one remembers what happened, but of course we do. I think what happened is Lane made herself non-existent or not remembered by anyone. And she is able to do this because first she's God, and she was able to show her power that no one was able to remember the rumor that she spread around about Arisu liking her teacher. So that's probably why. I don't know what she's trying to benefit from erasing herself out of the world. Maybe it's because she knew that her involvement and her actions during the course of the series has done nothing but bad about, trying to integrate reality and the Wired or whatever. She's just a moody, hot topic kind of girl who's gonna end the world someday. Her destiny, And she knew that if she existed, her friend Arisu would be suffering the most. Like, even if she tried to actively not try to interfere with what she was doing in the world that she was trying to create with an integrated Wired and reality, she would still be suffering from all of the consequences around her. So she thought it would be a better world if she didn't exist. Huh. Ain't that cool? I guess. By the way, she did affect everybody in the old world. The entire Earth was affected. Maybe in a good way. I don't know, but Arisu doesn't like it, and that's all Lane cares about. Mika is still in the doorway, ringing her phone like this, going pee-pee-pa or something. Good for her. Everyone's dead. Her parents are dead. Maybe. I don't know. I actually don't know about the fate of her parents. But I'm sure everyone is effed in that universe. But now, this is the universe we live in where we have empty chairs. So that's cool. Okay, one thing I want explained is that, I'll just do it like this. No. Lane had superpowers in the real world. I don't know how that works. I want that explained. I don't get that. The other thing, these superpowers being, when the CIA agents came, she said, go away, and one of the visors just exploded. So maybe that was just in her imagination, or it actually happened in the physical world. I don't know. I want that explained. Some other things happened with her superpowers. I remember it was a meeting with God. She was like, I still want my physical body. That's a lie. And then, a bunch of the telephone poles started getting ripped apart and falling around her when she said that. Maybe she's the grunge, she's Carrie. Hell yeah. Okay, whatever. Point is, she has superpowers. I don't know why. The other thing that I want explained is, how is she able to retract information or make people forget their memories in The Wired. I don't know why or how she could do that. So yeah, two things. Explain how she has superpowers and explain how or why she could erase memories. That's it. The other things, I guess they are in thematics and aesthetics or whatever. I'm gonna watch until the end of this. Someone fucking buy me a phone that's just a gun, please. Thanks. Oh, sorry. Maybe I need to retract my question. It just explained it to me in bold text. Memory is just a record. You just need to rewrite that record. And then a girl asks, is that true? And I assume that's Lane. So that's how or why, I guess, thematically. Whatever. Sure. I mean, I don't really want a technical explanation. I was just kind of curious how her powers are like that because they didn't really fit with how memories work in reality, you know? Like, the internet is information, but it doesn't control people's brains or memories of things that happened. I think a more accurate way to say it is if it's on the internet, it'll stick there forever and everyone is able to see it. Not you can erase memories and information and people will just forget about it. Well, whatever. I don't know, maybe someone elaborate a bit more for me. Oh my god, that was a mind fuck of an anime, and I'm looking at Lane naked right now. It's the ending, and I never really shown it, but you know, looking at it again, it shows the humanity, which is this part. The main, you know, bare nakedness of humanity, and comparing it with the surroundings of the computer here. You know, that's what the internet does to you, I suppose. And it's, well, you can see it that way, but maybe I'm reaching, who knows. Maybe they just wanted to draw a lolly girl naked in fetal position. I'm currently rewinding back to the section where Lane is all alone in this world where she, you know, deleted herself from everyone's memories and she doesn't hurt anyone. So I was right. That was the reason why she did that, I guess. It wasn't that hard to guess. I want to go through this step by step because usually in the last part of, I don't know, these pretentious elitist animes, the only other thing I'm thinking about is just Evangelion. The last two episodes were all about explaining what what was happening in the course of the series, some of its thematics, but in a more, well, still in a obfuscated way. So it explains that the Wired is not the upper layer of the real world. What it is I forgot. So that's that. It's just, I don't know, I guess it's just how information moves, and it's just a very streamlined way of transferring information. That is what the Wired is. It is not really another reality you could be in. It's just information going on a pipeline to other people. That's what that is. Now, here she mentioned it's connected to something else. And later, she says, we don't know what it is, but look at how far we have gone without knowing what the Wired is connected to. I don't know what they are talking about or what it's implying that it's actually hinted to be. And maybe that's what we're actually not supposed to know, but I'm pretty sure it's supposed to hint to something. And I'm just not getting it. Yeah, I don't like how she's saying this. Lane never existed. Yeah. So her inner part of herself is just like, okay, let's become God again. No one would hate me. She's destined to become some sort of revered, wrathful God. And she just refuses to do it. Not again, she says. now she's with her father. It's a cathartic moment because she was sort of like, he was sort of the person who gave her the Navi in the first place and sort of the person who kickstarted her addiction for being such a nice father and giving her what she wants. She sure is cute in that panda onesie. Anyways, yeah, she always had like a love for humanity and why she was so adamant in still being human, still saying she wants a physical body, even though she was destined to become God and connect both wired and reality. The last scene is basically just Arisu in her future, so it's good to know that she has a good ending. She meets Lane again, and it's cute. It's a final scene, I guess. Lane is just like, hope we meet again, and wait, Arisu is just like, hope we meet again, and Lane is just like, yeah, we can meet anytime we want. And I'm just gonna say that this looks kind of weird. This road looks kind of weird. Maybe it's an information highway or something. I don't know what it's supposed to represent, but I I just thought roads don't work or look like that, and there's so many lanes, and there's not even any cars on it. What does it mean? Like, it zooms out, and very slowly, might I add, so there's something that I'm supposed to get here, but I'm getting nothing. Uh, Maybe there really wasn't any meaning, and it's just a cool looking shot. Okay. She says, wait, I want you to look at the subline here. Maybe that's the message that Serial Experiments Lain, this anime, will leave an impression on you. That's the thing that I'm thinking of. Or that Lane is generally omnipresent and everywhere. A lot of interpretations. You're not gonna look at naked Lane. Alright, after this, I'm going to have my afterthoughts on what I think of everything. But I'm gonna take a pee break first. And also get rid of my damn headache from being under this blanket, this desk, and this cramped space for so long. Oh god. Okay, I'm gonna do some jumping jacks. Ugh.
Alright, Serial Experiments Lane. What was it all about? It's about a lot of things. I think its main themes are the thin line, or vague line, really, between reality and the internet. That's the main thing is trying to explore. And in the end, the answer was it is not that. It is not another reality. It is just a medium to transfer information. That's what I think it means. It could mean anything you want, really. It's an anime, and you can have any interpretation you want. But that's what I thought it was getting at. Besides that, every single episode talked about a different aspect of the internet and how it could affect reality. For example, the rumors episode, first, it explored that the identity that you have online and the identity you have in real life differ eventually. And that is because that every single, I mean, that's just a consequence of everybody that have an opinion of you are like different. Like, okay, fuck, it's a lot, all right? I need to get my thoughts straight. Evangelion said this already. Um, a different version of you exists in everybody, and as a consequence of that, your identity in the internet and real life differ, or at least the way people perceive you. So, my original point was rumors, right? Um, the internet is a way for you to spread rumors about your less accurate self, your internet self. I am very, very sorry. I am just rambling at this point, but this show is a lot, okay? My point was every episode focused on something different. Rumors was about what I just explained, and honestly, if you look back to the video where I talked about that. Navigating to that part must be difficult. Sorry. But yeah, I talked about that. And ego, which is the last one, she like diminished it, I suppose, from stopped being God or God himself, which I think is Ari Minami, who's the creator of the Seventh Protocol, uh, had a lot of ego because of the internet that gave him that or something. And the Seventh Protocol is the new version of the internet that allows seamless information sharing. And I'm kind of surprised that the meme "Let's All Love Lane" was kind of only mentioned once and not really much else. But I'm still gonna love Lane, darn it. Unironically, waifus here. Lane, Mika, Alice. Fuck yeah. What else was I gonna say? Oh yeah, Love. That's a good episode. But Rumors, Layer 9 is still my favorite. I'm probably gonna be watching many, many more analysis videos of Lane. The journey really has just begun, but I think I've made my position clear about what I think of the series, and I've encapsulated it into this video. So even after I watched all those analysis videos, and I've already watched a few, but whatever, even if I watched a few or all those analysis videos, my opinion here does not change. I've already watched a few, and the main concept that I got from those is that Wired and the reality was converging. That's all I knew of Lane before I actually watched it. And would I say this was a worthwhile investment of time? I wasted an entire day, and all I got out of it was bizarre ramblings and a fucking headache. You tell me, buddy. Maybe I could have spent this time going outside, having friends, not staying inside, ruining my mental health, uh, eating musty pizza. Gosh, today was a fucking whirlwind of like, I don't know what happened. This is a hangover, basically. Okay, the footage that I've gathered until now is like 9, 10 gigabytes at this point, and I don't want to add much more to that. And this video is already like 4 hours, I bet. So I'm just gonna end it here. Thanks if you have watched this long. Comment to prove that you've watched this long. Let's all love Lane. And hey, comment what your thoughts on Serial Experiments Lain themselves are, or what my thoughts are on them. Thank you. Seriously, genuinely thank you if you've watched this long and care about my thoughts. I know I've been very rambling, and even on top of that, very repetitious, repetitive and stumbling, and I'm stupid. So I'm sorry, and genuinely thank you. Uh, let's all love Lane. See you on another present day, present time, baby.